Edie Windsor is my game changer. She took her case of injustice all the way to the Supreme Court, and when she won, she changed the game in terms of marriage equality and ending discrimination in America.
My pick for game changer is the Pope, and it's an easy one. When he said the Catholic Church should be a home for all, I think he meant that we should be focusing on issues that bring people together, not on issues that divide people. I think our country should be doing the same.
There has never been a Pope Francis before, and from the moment he stepped on St. Peter's balcony as the first Pope from Latin America, it began to dawn on all of us that this was just the start of dramatic change. Francis is sending a spiritual jolt to the world's billion Catholics, spreading joy and teaching lessons with a caring smile, a simple life, his sense of time, place, and history impeccable.
It is white smoke. There is a pope, a new pope for the 1.2 billion Catholics around the world.
That historic moment, a centuries-old tradition, but this year, a surprise.
Here it comes. Let us listen, let us watch.
Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, habemus papam, Sancte Romani Ecclesiae Cardinalem Bergoglio.
From Argentina, Bergoglio.
The first Jesuit pope.
That is really something. We are really breaking ground here, these cardinals. Someone from Latin America who is a Jesuit.
He's taken the name of St. Francis for the first time, which is clearly a signal that he wants to show a different face of the church, face of the poor.
His first words were casual, conversational.
Buonasera.
The first sign of a new day at the Vatican.
I would like to give a blessing, but first, do me a favor.
That favor, a pope asking the people to pray for him.
It was an incredible moment because we all had our list of papabili, the people who were likely to be pope, and he wasn't on any of them. Suddenly, here's this Argentinian who was really of a completely different mold. And it signaled that the College of Cardinals had come to a decision that they really wanted a different kind of pope.
And with that first humble greeting, Pope Francis captured hearts. Down in the crowds, reaching out to those most in need, living simply, he's leading by example and enlivening his church.
I think he's working very honestly and simply to transmit his humility to the world.
I think he's very true to what the church stands for, but I think he's much more in touch with the fact that, yes, you have to take the message out to people and actually live it.
Less than a year after the sudden resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, Pope Francis has shifted focus from scandals of the past to a future centered on the poor.
We have not had a good run of late. And what I've tried to say, George, is this Pope has successfully, finally shattered the caricature of the church that his predecessors have tried hard to do. What's that caricature? That the church is kind of mean and dour and always saying no and always telling us what we can't do and always telling us why we should be excluded. He's saying, come on in. The church is about warmth and tenderness.
In an ABC News Washington Post poll, 92% of American Catholics think well of the Pope, and 85% think he's moving the church in the right direction. Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York sees the Francis effect firsthand. Could you all really have seen the kind of impact this man would have?
No, I think nothing that he does has surprised us, but what surprised us is that he's done it even more effectively than we thought. What we're after was a good pastor with a track record of solid administration, but fatherly, warm, tender care for the sheep, for his people. And boy, we got that on steroids with Pope Francis. He's the world's parish priest.
Drawing in the young with a sense of humor and laid-back style. On his travels, Pope Francis is a rock star, speaking out in new ways.
In the worlds of politics, business, arts, and social media.
Essere una persona gay. And downplaying what he calls the church's obsession with social issues. He seems to want to rebalance in some ways. He says, of course, he holds to the church doctrine on things like abortion and gay marriage, but he says also, let's not just talk about this all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? John the 23rd said, look, the teaching of the church is a timeless gift. You can't change it. It's ours. We inherit it. We're given it. But the way we gift wrap it, the way we make it more attractive and more compelling to the world, that can always change. And that's what Francis is saying.
Pope Francis is emphasizing different parts of church doctrine. So he's talking about income inequality and the need for the church to be the church for the poor.
In his first exhortation outlining his vision for the church, Pope Francis took on capitalism, denouncing the idolatry of money and an economy that kills.
What he says is if the dollar, if money, if the economy becomes our God, that's idolatry. Okay, there's only one God and money ain't it. Okay, money is morally neutral. It's how we use it that makes it sinful or good. And he said, so use it for the good, to support yourself and your family, to reinvest in society and to help those without. Don't let it become the be-all and end-all of life.
He's not the first pope to speak like this, but it's also drawn some criticism from some.
This is just pure Marxism coming out of the mouth of the Pope. There's no such unfettered capitalism that doesn't exist anywhere.
You get it from both sides, and sometimes criticism is good. Jesus said, be careful if the world is only saying good things about you. So Pope Francis probably shrugs and says, well, it's good that I'm upsetting some people. It's good that people are taking me seriously. And he'll get it again. He knows that.
Not shying away, responding to critics, challenging them with questions of his own.
He's not asking us to change the teachings of our church. He takes very seriously his responsibility to pass on the sacred tradition. But he is saying, let's not get so pigeonholed that we're involved in a kind of an intellectual debate.
Archbishop Joseph Kurtz is the new head of U.S. bishops.
He's giving us a new zeal, he's giving us new expressions and a new method. He's saying the same time-honored, beautiful message of Christ, but in a way that's really touching hearts.
An age-old message delivered in a modern way by Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
He said, Time Magazine, I'm more worried about timeless things, okay? So that's the way he is. He shrugs and says, well, thanks, but who cares?
He doesn't want to be the center of attention. He wants others to be the center, and that's a great Francis effect, isn't it?